Today I'm going to show you how to draw a city in two-point perspective. The things you're going to need is the large drawing paper that I gave you before we left school. If you don't have that paper, you didn't get one, you can just take two pieces of printer paper and tape them together. That's almost about the same size. Put a piece of tape on one side, then flip it over. That way the tape doesn't get in the way. You're also going to need an eraser. You're going to need a pencil. I like to use my magic pencil. And then of course you're going to need a ruler, and if you don't have a ruler, anything with a straight edge will work. So for example, I took a piece of printer paper here and folded it up 3 times, and that makes a nice straight edge. I have a notepad here that makes a straight edge. Take your favorite Superman book, that makes a straight edge. So anything that'll make a straight edge will work. Okay, so the first thing you're going to need to do is draw your horizon line. Your horizon line is going to be 3 inches from the top of your paper. So whenever you're going to do a line that goes all the way across your paper, the best thing to do is to measure in 2 points and then connect the dots. So I'm going to measure 3 inches from the top of my page, put a mark here, and then measure from the top of my page over here and put a mark, and then I'm going to connect the dots. If you only measure in one spot, you're kind of guessing that you're going to be drawing a straight line, and if your horizon line is crooked right off the bat, it's gonna mess you up. Okay, the next thing you're gonna need are your vanishing points. You're gonna need 2 vanishing points. So your vanishing point should be 3 inches from the edge of your paper on your horizon line. So do a nice solid dot right there at 3 inches on one side, and then 3 inches on the other side. If you don't have a ruler, just kind of guess, but try and make the distance on either side the same. So you can find something like your eraser and then mark it, and then use the same length of your eraser on the other side to mark it. That way your vanishing points are the same. Okay, now the next thing we're going to do is draw the center line for the first building. And we want it to be right in the middle, so find the center of your paper below your horizon line. The large paper is 18 inches, so the center of the paper is 9. You also want this building to be about 3 inches from the bottom of your page, so mark 3 inches there. And then draw this line below your horizon line. Don't make it go right up to your horizon line. You want it to be a few inches below. So I'm going to start about here. I'm right on that line. Now, in order to ensure that I'm doing a line that goes perfectly vertical, I'm lining the edge of my paper at the bottom of my page here. So I'm going to make this line go right down to that 3-inch mark from the bottom of my page. Now this is representing the front corner of my first building. So now what I'm going to do is draw a line from the top and the bottom of this line to this vanishing point, and the top and the bottom of this line to that vanishing point. One thing I like to do when I'm doing a perspective drawing is put your pencil on your vanishing point, push your ruler up to your pencil, and then rotate your ruler to where you want it to go, and then draw your line. Now while you're doing this, you're going to want to kind of draw lightly, because a lot of these lines are guidelines that you're going to have to go back and erase later on. So don't draw too dark. And now I'm drawing kind of dark only so you can see what I'm doing. So my lines aren't going to erase very well. Okay, now I need to draw the sides of the building. So you just have to determine how wide you want this building to be. There's no specific measurements for this. It's totally up to you. Both sides don't need to be the same width. So I'm just gonna, don't make it too big, because you need to leave room to draw a whole bunch of buildings on either side. So I'm just gonna go here a couple inches from the center. I'm making sure that the bottom on my ruler is lined up with the bottom of my page. I'm gonna draw a vertical line here, and I'm gonna do one on this side. They don't need to be the same width. Just like that. And now I need to draw the roof. So one thing you have to remember is when you're doing a 2-point city drawing like this, any building that's below the horizon line, you'll be able to see the roof. Any building that's above your horizon line, you won't be able to see the roof. And this can get a little tricky. The thing you have to remember is go to the opposite vanishing points from these two corners. So I'm going to draw a line from this vanishing point to the left corner, and then from this vanishing point to the right corner. And this building is done. The initial form of this building is finished. Now we need to get rid of these guidelines. So that's why you want to try to draw lightly, so you don't have to erase too hard and burn a hole in your paper. Okay, one building down. Now, the next building I'm going to show you how to draw it's going to be another building below the horizon line, but it's going to be a building with a gap in between. There's two different ways you can do it. You can do buildings that have gaps in between, or buildings that are right up next to each other. I'll show you how to do both. First, building with a gap. So with any building, you always want to start with that front corner line that's facing you. So I'm just going to start it here, and I'm going to make it shorter than this building. Now I'm going to draw a line from the top of this first corner line up to this vanishing point, and then over to the other vanishing point. Now, since this building is shorter than the other one, I don't really want to draw this line all the way to the vanishing point through this building, because then it's just more line that I'm going to have to erase. And as you get the hang of this, you're not going to really need to do these lines all the way to the vanishing point. So I'm just going to draw this right into the building and stop there, and then draw the vertical line representing the width of the building, and then need to draw the roof. So I'm going to the opposite vanishing point, and this is going right into that other building, so I'm just going to stop right there. Now, since there's a space in between these buildings, you have to fix this line. In order for this to look right, you're going to have to go from this bottom corner to the vanishing point on the right and stop there. And so now there's a gap in between these buildings. So I can erase that line there. And now I need to erase this line. Okay, so now I'll do another building that's below the horizon line, but that is connected to this building. So there's not going to be a gap. I'm going to make it a little bit taller. So when you're doing a building that's connected, all you're doing is extending this line up. Or if it's shorter, you don't extend it up at all. So this line now represents the front corner of this next building. So now I'm going to go from the top to the vanishing points. I'm not going to draw this one all the way. I'm just going to kind of stop it right there. And then draw the sides of the building. Don't forget to line the edge of your ruler up at the bottom edge of your paper down here. And then I'm going to do this one where I stop that line. And then you just need to draw the roof. Go to the opposite vanishing points. And again, I'm not drawing it all the way because that's just more lines that I need to erase. I went a little too far, but that's okay. That's why we have erasers. Okay, so now you can see the difference between two buildings that have a gap in between and then two buildings that are connected. Now the other type of building would be to draw a building that goes above the horizon line. I'll do this one with a gap in between, so I'm just going to start right about here. I'm going to go straight up a couple inches above my horizon line. And then I'm going to go down to the vanishing point on the right from the top of that line, and down to my vanishing point on the left from the top of that line. And then determine how wide I want this building to be. So I'm just going to say about here. And then do one on this side. Okay, so you have to erase the guidelines here, but you also have to erase the horizon line that's going through your building, so it doesn't look like your building is see-through. And I'll do one more that goes above the horizon line. Oh, I almost forgot. There's a gap here. So you got to draw that little tiny line that goes back towards the vanishing point. There. So to make an alleyway. And now to draw another tall building without a gap, I'm just going to extend this line up. Make it really tall. And then now this time I'm not going to go all the way to the vanishing point. I'm just going to go a little bit down to that one, and a little bit down to that one, and then draw the vertical lines. And then get rid of my horizon line. There. So this is just how to draw basic forms. Now obviously you're probably not going to want all your buildings to just look like rectangular prisms. You want to add a little character to them. If you want to extend a building out, make a ledge, or draw like a smaller structure on top of a building. So for example, here I'll draw a smaller structure on top of this one. I'll make it off-centered a little bit. So you're drawing this just like you drew the building. Start with the front corner line. One thing that's important to remember is that almost every line, if it's not vertical, has to go towards one of your two vanishing points. And that's where some students will get something wrong. If just one line doesn't quite go to the vanishing point, then it's going to look off. So there's a little tiny structure on top there. Get rid of all these extra lines. You can draw, let's say, a building with a ledge. So I can, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do like a ledge extending out of this building. So in order to do that, I'm going to draw a line that comes out, that's coming out of the vanishing point on the left. Go out like that, and then the sides, the front and the back of this ledge are going to angle towards this vanishing point on the right, and then the back side angles towards the other vanishing point like that. And now I'm going to add a little dimension to this and make it really thick. Now I didn't use a ruler here because I'm a professional, but you guys make sure you use rulers. I can draw a straight line without a ruler, see? Oops. Okay, so so there's a ledge, kind of jets out from the building, and everything goes towards one of the two vanishing points with the exception of the vertical lines. So if you were to draw a line here, you'll notice everything goes towards one of the two vanishing points. If it doesn't, one of the lines doesn't go towards the vanishing point, it's going to be off. Okay, now a couple other things that are required for this assignment is you have to draw windows and doors. So to draw windows, the tops and the bottoms of the windows have to go towards one of the two vanishing points, and it depends on which side of the building you're drawing it on. Windows and doors on the right side of the buildings, regardless as to what half of the page it's on. So this right, all these right sides have to go towards this vanishing point, and windows and doors on the left sides of all the buildings have to go towards this vanishing point. So, for example, I'm going to draw a line here that represents the bottom of my windows, and then I'll draw a line above it that represents the top of my windows, and they're angling towards the vanishing point. And then the vertical lines go perfectly straight up and down. So line the edge of your ruler up at the bottom of your page, or the top of your page, whichever works better. I mean, it's a little off center, but so there's a couple windows. If you're going to do a door, I'll do a door on this side. The top of the door has to angle towards the vanishing point on the left. And then, again, the vertical lines go straight up and down. You're just drawing it the same way you did the windows. So there's a door. I'll draw a doorknob. It's like a giant door. The other thing I want you to add is a sign somewhere. So you're kind of practice drawing letters, and you have to do them towards the vanishing point. So I'll use this side of this building here. When you're going to do a sign, draw two lines that represent the top and the bottom of your letters. So I'm going to do a line here, the bottom of my letters, and a line here for the top of my letters, and then your lines are going to go in between these, your letters are going to go in between these two lines. Now, any letter that has a cross through it, like this, like the A here, that line has to go angle towards the vanishing point. Like that. So I want you to kind of fill this in. You know, put a bunch of buildings with windows and doors. Add some unique shapes to some of your buildings. You can create a dome. If you're doing anything round like this, it doesn't have anything to do with the vanishing points. So. Oh, I just realized I had an eraser on my pencil this whole time. I guess I don't need this one. Okay, so I just created a dome here, and then I'm going to create like a shadow. Now that's one thing you're going to have to do, is you're going to have to add value to your drawing, just like all your other drawings. But you're going to be coloring this too, so hopefully you have color pencils at home. So you'll do most of your shading with your color pencils. But just to kind of make it look like these buildings are one in front of the other, creating a shadow behind them. Kind of helps adds to the 3D effect. Okay, now you need streets. So your streets are going to angle out outward. You're going to do one on both sides. So I'm going to do a line that angles out this way on this side. And then I'm going to do a line that angles out this way on this side. They don't have to match, that's okay. And then for sidewalks, I want you to do a sidewalk on both sides of your streets. So they have to come out of your vanishing point. And you don't want to make them too big, so I'm just kind of coming out a little bit from the front of my buildings. So there's my sidewalk, and if you want to do the sidewalk lines, those lines also have to go to the vanishing point. So the lines on this sidewalk go towards this vanishing point, and the lines on this sidewalk go towards that vanishing point. So this kind of takes a while, but I'm not going to do them all. Now, you're going to want these lines to get closer and closer together as they get further away. Remember, things get smaller and smaller as they get further away. Like when you did your train drawing, your fence posts got smaller and smaller and skinnier. So you get the idea there. I'm not going to draw all those. And then you can do a sidewalk out here. And then another one out on this side. Now the sidewalk lines on the outsides of these streets, they go straight across. And that's where it gets a little tricky, because now if you draw anything on this side, and you are required to draw at least one building on the outside of one of your streets. When you draw anything out here, on either of these two sides, it's in 1 point perspective, and I'll show you. So these lines, they go straight across. And then like this, and we're gonna pretend I use my ruler. Okay, does that look nice? Okay, now, whoops. So to draw a building out here, we'll do it on this side. Doesn't matter which side you do it on. First thing you're gonna want to do is draw a square or a rectangle that's facing you. So a perfect square. And I'll do the top. And the edge of your ruler up at the edge of your paper. So perfect square or rectangle or whatever it is, and then now you're gonna draw a line from these 3 points back to this vanishing point. I didn't go all the way there, and that's my chair making that sound, by the way. And then I'm going to draw a line that goes straight across back here. So this is the end of that building, you can see. And then from the corner of this line, this is it's not very clear, but oops, I've kind of limited space on my desk here. I'm knocking stuff off. Okay, so you can see this point here. You can't see the line I made there. Kind of. Now I'm going to go straight down, and then I'm going to get rid of the guidelines. So there's, can't really see this line here. I'll draw this a little darker. There. So there's your building, and then if you want to do a roof, you know, just kind of do like an angle. If you want this to be kind of like a house, the top of the roof here, the top of this angle needs to go towards the vanishing point, and then this kind of angles down. And then if you're drawing anything on this side of the building, the top and the bottom of, let's say you're doing windows, has to go towards the vanishing point. Or if you do a door, the top of the door has to go towards the vanishing point. And then the vertical lines go perfectly straight up and down. Like that. And that's about it. From here, you just have to decorate it. So you have to determine if you want this to be like a futuristic city or a fantasy city or like a cartoon city. Fill it in, create a background. You want to do mountains like this. You can do mountains in the background. If you want to do, you can do a train track coming out of here. You know how to draw a train now, so you do train coming out of here. Hopefully it looks better than this, but you get the idea. And then you can do, with the street, you can do the, the street lines, make them get bigger as they get closer to you. You can do a sign. You can add vehicles on the streets. Just get creative, fill it in, and color it. That's about it. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to email me. Send me a question through Google Classroom. If you want to talk to me in person and get my help while you're working on it, send me a Google Hangouts invite, and that's it.